Maya came to Spain for her future. Love was never part of the plan. She was an American chef, disciplined, quiet, and built on routine more than emotions. And she definitely never expected that love would force her to choose between two completely different ways of life. But she met Javier, a man who lived the complete opposite way. A Spanish culinary apprentice raised in the rhythm of noise and closeness. He thrived in movement, conversation, and shared energy. In his world, kitchens were not quiet spaces of precision. They were living environments filled with overlapping voices, spontaneous tasting, and constant interaction. Falling in love with Javier also meant stepping into a world she did not understand. And when marriage entered the picture, love will be tested by far more than feelings. At first, when Maya arrived in Valencia for her master's in culinary arts, she expected academic intensity, cultural exposure, and culinary discipline. What she did not expect was how quickly a person could disrupt her internal order. They met during a collaborative workshop held in a busy culinary institute. Maya stood slightly apart from the group, listening more than speaking, watching more than performing. Javier, by contrast, was already mid-conversation with half the room, explaining techniques as if teaching and entertaining at the same time. Their first real interaction happened by accident. A student made a plating mistake. Maya quietly corrected it under her breath. Javier overheard her. Instead of being offended, he turned and asked, "What should you do differently?" And she answered calmly, directly, no extra words. Javier smiled, not because of the answer alone, but because he recognized something rare: confidence without performance. That moment did not feel like romance at first. It felt like recognition. And from that day on, they kept crossing paths. In classes, kitchen shifts, and late nights after everyone else had left. At first, they talked only about food, talked only about methods. But slowly, conversations began lasting longer, and silence between them no longer felt awkward. Javier spoke more. He filled spaces easily, sometimes without realizing it. Maya answered less, but with precision when she did. She rarely spoke without meaning something specific. He noticed she arrived early, wasted no words, and cared more about growth than attention. He started adjusting small things about himself without announcing them. If she came early, sometimes he was already there. If she stayed late, he found reasons to stay too. Not to impress her, just to be near her. Maya didn't see it as romantic interest. She thought he respected her professionally, but patterns reveal what words don't. One night, after most students had left, Maya was alone, plating the same dish again and again, fixing details nobody else would notice. Javier stood nearby, watching quietly. Then he said, "You don't need to make it perfect. It already works." Maya paused. No one had spoken to her like that before. Most people praised perfection. He was speaking to the pressure behind it. He replied, "It's not about perfect, it's about finished." And Javier nodded. He understood much more than she expected. And that was how they connected. Not through dramatic confessions, but through understanding. In group settings, Javier never forced Maya to be louder than she was. He included her naturally. He never treated her quietness like a flaw. And for Maya, something unfamiliar began to happen. For once, she felt close to someone without feeling crowded. And at the same time, Javier changed too. Around everyone else, He was expressive and energetic, but around Maya, he became calmer, more observant, less interested in entertaining the room. They weren't changing each other, only softening around each other. But for how long would people from two opposite worlds mix? Then came that first misunderstanding. One evening after class, Javier left with friends. He didn't directly invite Maya. In his world, invitations were often unspoken. People simply joined. But Maya came from a different world. To her, inclusion needed clarity, so she stayed behind, cleaning tools that were already clean. Later that night, Javier returned and still saw her there. Surprised, he asked, "You didn't come with us?" Maya answered calmly, "I wasn't invited." The sentence was quiet, but it hit hard. Javier suddenly realized something important. What felt natural to him could feel excluding to her. Neither of them argued. Neither of them fully explained themselves. But awareness had entered the relationship. And from then on, their connections became more intentional. He checked if she had eaten during long kitchen days. She noticed when he was exhausted but pretending not to be. He made room for her silence. She became a place where he could rest. By the time feelings became undeniable, the relationship had already started being influenced by forces outside their power, by forces outside their control. Family reading, social structure, emotional expression, and future expectations. Love had formed quietly, but life was just about to complicate it. What felt like simple closeness was about to be tested by something larger than them. The shift from falling in love to building a future did not arrive with a single decision. It came through small conversations that gradually changed tone. At first, marriage was not a topic. It was just an assumption. Something, someday, spoken lightly between routines and shared meals. But then, someday rarely stays abstract for long. Families begin to ask, plans begin to form around expectations, and what had been private between Maya and Javier slowly started to enter a wider social space, and love stopped being about compatibility and started being tested by structure. As expected, wedding planning began. Maya then realized she wasn't planning with only Javier. She was planning with an entire family system. She wanted something intimate and organized. His family imagined large celebrations and open opinions. To them, it was joy, but Maya felt herself disappearing inside decisions she did not make. Javier didn't understand the problem. To him, family involvement meant love, but to Maya, it felt like boundaries were fading. Private decisions became open conversations. Javier saw celebration. Maya felt exposed. Maya began to feel she was constantly adapting to a structure she did not design. Javier began to feel caught between love and inherited expectations, unsure how to simplify what both sides saw as natural. At one point, total silence replaced planning entirely. Not separation, but fatigue. And then, the hardest question of all arrived. After marriage, where would we live? His life was rooted in proximity. Family nearby, traditions close, and future built in familiar streets. Maya's looked very differently. Movement, growth, possibilities. Neither wanted to control the other, but now love was standing between two directions, and every wedding decision carried the same hidden question. Are we building one life or asking the other person to give up theirs? These questions always came with very loud silence. And in that silence, they had to face the truth. They did not have a love problem, they had a life problem. Their wedding plans paused because something became clear. Maya and Javier were not struggling to love each other, they were struggling to fit love into two different ways of living. For a while, they stopped forcing decisions. Instead, they began separating what was essential from what was inherited. Javier began to see what Maya had been carrying. She had moved countries, built a new life, entered a culture not her own, and still felt like she had no clear place inside her future being planned. So he made a quiet but powerful change. He began setting boundaries. Some decisions will come from family, but the final decisions will belong to him and Maya. And for the first time, Maya felt chosen publicly, not just loved privately. And Maya changed too. She realized every family conversation was not an attack. Every opinion was not control. Some of it was simply how love looked in Javier's world. Messy, loud, unfiltered, but sincere. She stopped treating closeness like danger. The wedding stopped being a negotiation between systems and became a shared construction between two people. They married in a warm Spanish courtyard, simple, intimate, and shared by both worlds. Maya did not become less independent, and Javier did not become less social. Instead, they learned something quieter: how to remain themselves without making the other person feel like an interruption. And in that space, they built a life that was not fully American, not fully Spanish, but fully shared.